Excellent. Alrighty. Well, sorry for the late arrival there, but it's a little after 6, so I'd like to call the meeting to order and get going on things. So the first item on our agenda is a consideration of a appointment to the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission has a vacancy for a term ending in 2027, and we have an applicant who does appear to be on Zoom. Excellent. So the letter of interest for Madavi was posted to the share drive, as well as a very robust CV, which all seems very relevant to the Conservation Commission. So with that, I guess I would be happy to pass it over to Madavi for a brief personal intro, I guess, and summary of your interest to serve the Conservation Commission.
I am so sorry that I don't have my video on. My train was running late, so I hope you'll take my sincere apology. And if I can talk long enough to get myself into my home, I will turn my video on. But otherwise, I promise well, I think you can actually find anything you need to with regard to my visuals online as well. But I am very interested in joining the Conservation Commission for a couple of reasons. One, I'm living in Vermont principally because I have an interest in the environment. I live in Calais and Adamant, and I would definitely like to learn more about what the Conservation Commission can do. I've learned just a little by talking to the committee a little bit over a week ago, and I think that maybe I could be useful. My primary reason to put my name forward is because I'd like to just get involved with the town and be of service.
Well, thank you very much for the intro. I mean, I think certainly your your resume and body of work kind of speaks for itself, and I certainly don't have too many questions about the relevance of that work relative to the Conservation Commission. I think from my perspective, at least, one of the big parts of this type of service is the ability to kind of work well with the group and contribute to the group's work. It sounds like you've had an opportunity to attend one of the recent meetings. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
And you mentioned that you're a resident of Adamant. Are you a full-time resident of Adamant, or are you part-time?
I would like to think of myself as half-time because I'm there every week, but I right now I presently still have my duties outside of Adamant.
Sure. So I think with any kind of schedule like that, it's obviously made a lot easier now in the post-COVID area when we've have resources that kind of facilitate participation remotely. But one of my concerns, I guess, would be any concerns you have with being able to kind of attend on a regular basis and participate in their conversations. You see that being a challenge anyway?
No, I don't think so. The meetings are monthly and I can be in person, but I'd also like to hope that I could be a little more just active than just participating in the meetings. So I would not take on this role with the anticipation of being a non-participant. If I can put it that way. And I will be on video shortly, so bear with me. I'm headed in right now.
No problem. No problem. Are there any other questions from other members of the select board?
Often we get a recommendation from the commission.
Yes.
Do we have anything from them?
I did touch base with Neil today, and he confirms Madavi's participation in one of the recent and said, meetings and said that it was a great conversation, and she, brought some really interesting ideas. She wasn't able to, attend the entire meeting. And they had some opportunity to kind of discuss the appointment, and he had the sense that everybody felt really positive about the addition to the group. So
Thank you.
I'd stop short of saying that that was an explicit endorsement of the entire board, but everybody seemed to seem pretty favorable.
We didn't get any negative feedback.
No negative feedback at all, by any stretch of the imagination.
Hi there. There's.
Hi.
Hello.
Uh-oh. Reverb.
There you go. And Barbara has a question.
Oh,
we
you're
can't
on
hear you.
mute.
Now you're muted.
Sorry.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind, I was just kind of curious, just because in my conversation with Neil and another member of the commission, you mentioned that you had some specific ideas and ways that you could potentially contribute to their work. Would you mind speaking to any of those by chance?
Well, actually, there were a couple of topics that had just come up on that evening, and my interest was just in learning a little bit, but also how you can get greater community involvement. And I think the only initiative that was voted on that evening was specific to funding or providing a letter of support for funding for a publication that comes out annually. Forgive me, I don't know the name of the publication. Those things I got.
Right.
Yeah.
And what they were thinking about is how do you get more community involvement with regard to things like the preservation of land, especially if that land is being given for a tax benefit to the owner. And so we were just talking about the policing of that and where that potentially could come about. Another initiative, if I'm not mistaken, was just trying to figure out a vision statement for what people in Calais see for the future. And I bring this up because a town that I lived in, Brewster, Massachusetts, on the Cape, did a visioning for their community to engage the general community into what the future should look like, how individuals in the community could participate in that particular vision. And then it gave the select board there an opportunity to then create a strategy that involved all the different committees. So that was just something I brought up as to whether or not that's viable or something that others would want to do. And that, that's obviously not my it's not my push, but I just thought that might be an interesting thing to look into, primarily because I think as we look forward, I think there's going to be more interest in environmental protection. Vermont is fortunate to have such a limited population. The population actually assists, but the economic circumstances of Vermont may make a trade-off from time to time for what's environmentally beneficial to what's economically needed or financially needed. So the vision statement or vision process may help with that, so people can understand where they could actually maybe mitigate that trade-off a little bit.
Okay, those are important issues. All right.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions. I think, there's a question on
So
Great.
Barbara has a question? Yeah.
I don't have a question, but I can say that when Neil and I were emailing back and forth over the last couple of months, and we finally got this appointment ready to present to the select board, I had asked Neil to, this was after Madavi had met with the Conservation Commission, and I asked Neil if he could either attend tonight's meeting or if he couldn't, to please submit something in a recommendation in writing. He did say he would be here. So in his absence, I will tell you that he enthusiastically supports this appointment.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thanks, Barbara. I might have undermined that because I spoke to him about an hour before and told him not to come because it seemed like a pretty straightforward recommendation, and he represented as much, Barbara. So thank you for your efforts and soliciting that feedback.
I do apologize for the length of my CV. I've never been very good at writing a resume, and And it's really painful to try to figure out what's needed and what's not. So please know it's not meant for any kind of gravitas on my part, but more so just because of a limitation in my capabilities.
No, no.
Sounds like a Mark Twain quote.
Yeah, not at all.
Do you have any questions for us, Maravi?
No, I'm really excited to hopefully participate more in the town and get to know the town. I mean, in all honesty, I've been living in Adamant, but the only real socialization experience I've had is with the co-op, and because I live down the street from the co-op, and I think that it would be nice to have more neighbors. How about that?
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, very good. I don't think that this probably warrants too much more discussion. And I'm kind of getting a sense of some decent consensus here. So with that, I would like to entertain a motion to appoint Madhavi to the Conservation Commission for to the vacant term, for the balance of the vacant term that ends in 2027.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Doesn't seem to. All right, very good. Well, congratulations, and also thank you very much for looking for this opportunity to volunteer within the community. We're looking forward to your contributions.
Well, if I may give the thanks to Barbara, because she's the one who sent me the list. So thank you all very, very much, and have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you in person someday soon.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, well, thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is town meeting plan with Gus.
Gus confirmed he would be here. He's not
Okay.
here now. Should we move ahead to local hazard mitigation? Because I see James is here. I think that might be Keith.
Believe it.
Keith coming up, CV, RPC.
Yeah.
Keith, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can have a very
Okay.
Okay, great.
good
Well,
internet
I think
connection.
I think that makes good sense.
So if you guys
So
can
while
hear me, we can at least have station. I just well,
There's not
He's cutting in and out.
Keith, you might be cutting in and out a little bit.
yeah. I've got about for whatever reason the Wi-Fi is not working where I'm at.
That's better. It's okay now.
It sounds better now. Maybe just sit right on top of the router if that's a
Yeah.
possibility.
Okay. Let's see. Is this any better?
It is. Yeah, it has
Are
been
you being able
here.
to hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. We put together a proposal, a local hazard mitigation plan for you all.
Mhm.
I definitely we're not sure what's really what's going on with FEMA at this time. But under the state's ERAF program, having a valid LHMP definitely gets the town more money. But that requires a FEMA activated disaster. So, in the current for how that would work. But yeah, I mean, I can try to answer any questions you all may have to the best of my ability, and the best the internet will allow us today.
Yeah.
So we had talked about this previously.
Yeah.
When we brought forward a budget. And was it foreign, state, and federal climate being rather up in the air, and knowing that there's going to be a lot of towns that have to update their plan this year. My thought process was if we could get it to Keith and his team sooner, the better. Our due date is October 10th, if I remember correctly. And I asked already his opinion, he agreed. I know that the money isn't there until after the vote on town meeting day, the Bruce town budget, which is why wanted to talk to you guys and why we got the official, outline from the Regional Planning Commission,
Mhm.
as they'll be the ones doing the vast majority of the heavy lifting on this.
Okay, so my understanding was that one of the main reasons, as Keith just referred to do the update was because it frees up funds. And was he also saying that that's all up in the air and we actually don't know whether it would?
So we'll still be eligible regardless of what's going on with FEMA.
Mhm.
If we have this, it'll make the town of Calais have the ability to get more funds. These have to be redone every 5 years.
Mhm.
So we get ours done and we'll have 5 years to figure out what's going on. And then it'll be in place, at least if something does happen, God forbid,
Mhm.
and leave the town eligible for a larger, sum of money.
And it does appear that there have been some changes in the last 5 years.
Yes.
If I understand it, we're talking about, federally designated disasters, FEMA. Right. And I think what Keith was referring to is we don't know
Right, what FEMA's
what
gonna do.
FEMA's gonna do in the future. However, given the scale of a potential disaster, we're gonna wanna have a plan, whether that's in 27 or post 28, but.
I mean, if we had another flood like 23 and,
Right.
you know, didn't have this in place, it'd be a disaster.
Disaster.
Right.
And then you're gonna
Yeah.
do the planning before the disaster happens,
Right.
is a good thing.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
So we had a lot of this conversation on the committee before we put our budget together.
Okay.
There was some opposition on whether or not we should do it or not on the committee because nobody knows what's happening with the federal government or with FEMA specifically. But our final conclusion was we would rather have this in place if something were to happen and make the town eligible for more money than it to expire in October and then something happened. So we thought it was better to have it and than to not have it.
Okay.
I have a question. Keith, can you describe how the billing will work?
Oh, keep left. Oh, no, there you
No,
Can you hear it, Keith?
So I asked Keith that.
I've tried
he
to put
said-
some stuff in the chat. It might be.
go.
Can people read that?
No.
So I apologize for my bad internet connection. The LHMP is good for 5 years. We don't know how FEMA will respond currently. The state ERAF program does give the town a larger share of money for disaster response from the state. The plan increases the state response and funds by 5% of total reimbursement for projects.
In the billing aspect, Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a 9-part task project, and usually they bill after completion of each task, if I remember what you told me correctly.
And I believe the tasks are laid out here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they start on page 22, excuse me.
Yeah, thank you.
Jordan,
yes.
this is Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
Very timely topic because just 20 minutes ago, VT Digger sent out a breaking news alert that FEMA's just denied flooding to the state of Vermont for flooding that happened this past year. I just forwarded that to the select board on email.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, I think most of us who have computers have seen that come in. Thanks for keeping your eye on that.
Okay.
That is timely. Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of questions I have. Well, one, the Aviston one seems like even with like without knowing what the FEMA situation, just the eligibility for the additional 5% seems like in the event of a disaster in the next 5 years, could very quickly pay for itself to cover the costs of contracting to have the plan overhauled by the CVRPC. So that seems like a no-brainer. I guess the question is whether or not we anticipate a need to have to pay prior to incurring prior to the fiscal
The
year,
new budget year.
the new budget year.
Yeah, but I guess that is a concern. It looks to me like from the timeline that's on page 26, the last page,
Okay.
phase 1 through 4 would be happening this fiscal year. And that's probably about $4,000.
Mhm.
So that's a consideration.
And since that's in the budget that we have, I imagine that would be something that we could reallocate to ourselves once we're in the new fiscal year, right? If we wanted to exercise the fund balance to get
I'm gonna pay it back.
and then pay it back.
Yeah, it's all coming out.
All going out of the same general fund.
Yeah.
So at the latest, we have to have it to them middle March, like right after town meeting day. They just sent out an email about that.
Okay.
So we would still be in current fiscal year, unfortunately, but.
Yeah, we were just saying, James, that it looks like from their table that the fiscal year goes through June, so it's steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 of one. Right. There's more that coming up there, I think.
FEMA generally refunds 75% in any disaster, with the state automatically providing 7.5% with the state for NFIP, LEMP, LHMP, and bridge and road standards, getting you an additional 5%, and river corridor getting an additional 5% to max out at 17.5% from the state.
Woo.
I can say the 23 flood, we are set to receive 98.5% or something like that. It's incredible.
So as far as the plan itself goes, CVRPC is the one option that we have as far as getting a consultant to help us out with the
I
plan.
mean, they're the primary ones that do it. They do it for pretty much every town in the area. And,
Yeah.
and talking with other people I know, most regional planning commissions in general do it across the state.
Okay. It's an area of expertise.
Yes.
I was curious on the list that they have of prior plans they've done. The most recent one is 2021. Have they not been doing any for the last 5 years?
That is not a question I can answer.
Okay. That's page 14, list prior plan, LHMPs they've done.
This could have just been.
Isn't that just a timing?
It's just everyone on the same cycle.
Also seems crazy.
I also, this is
I'm pretty certain they did East Montpelier last year.
Okay, so.
They asked us for
it's
feedback.
Just not updated, because they did it in 2019, so they would have wanted to do it last year. Okay.
So I guess it's my understanding that like the action that we have here is consideration to accept the proposal, and that will, commit us to the program. And then at some point in the very near future here, we'll have to sort out the express mechanism through which we want to fund it for the interim until it's going to be covered by
It'll show up on
FY
this year's spending, and we have the funds to pay for it. It's just.
I guess one other question, this is an estimate. Are there many variables in it that, you know, things that could come up that would make it go up significantly, or are these pretty sure you've done them 100 times and know how long each step takes type estimate?
Keith, did you hear that question?
We love our technology.
I do remember in one of the conversations that I had with Keith is that he agreed that there is always the possibility that it could go up, depending on if they, just on oddball roadblocks. They did our last one, with the assistance of the Emergency Management Committee here. And like I said, they've been doing them, so obviously it's hard to predict what could happen. But assume that it's gonna be, I hate to assume, but
Yeah.
I feel like it should be pretty close.
James, are you planning to work with them and like oversee describe what you think your role is gonna be?
So the committee will assist in however we're needed. I'm gonna be leaning a lot on Nick because he helped the last time around that they did this. As to exactly what our committee aspects are gonna look like. Obviously, it will involve, some resource lists and contact information that we'll update ourselves. And then we've started working on, different emergency plans, emergency procedure plans is what we're calling them. That I'm sure could be applicable in this situation. We just updated the LEMP last year, that has some new information in it that we'll probably provide. And we're going to be starting to update that form, at our meeting next week. That has to be done every year. So we'll have that information to provide to them as needed as well. And then, yes, I plan to make myself as available as I can to assist Keith and his team with that.
Because that will help obviously in terms of keeping the cost down if you're spending more hours, right?
Try to.
Well, and he said,
We've done one as short as 3 months. At worst case in flood of 23, plans took about 100 hours.
Okay, and this, they're estimating 137?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're getting billed for every task, we'll be looking at whether they're on budget or on estimate each time, I guess, and
Yeah.
want to keep an eye on it as we go along.
Yeah.
That last comment indicates they're pretty conservative in this proposal.
Yeah. Great.
Are there any other concerns or potential objections to engaging with the RPC for this go forward? I'm not hearing any. I guess we're gonna easily done. So thank you, Keith, for
He's going.
He tried.
you tried. Well, James, thank you for all of the
James,
independent and solo work you've done on this. No, thank you for staying on top of this and jumping on top of this. I know this kind of came a little bit out of left field and it's something that we really just need to address. So I guess I'd entertain a motion to accept CVRPC's proposal for preparing and performing the update to our local LHMP and having that prepared in time for, I guess, the March deadline, the submission deadline, or is that their review and then we have to have it by October?
So our deadline to submit it is October 10th. That is submitted to the state, and then we'll be safe as long as we get it to the state by then.
Mhm.
We have to have it to the regional planning commission no later than the middle of March to make sure they have enough time.
This proposal.
We have to have what?
Our current local hazard mitigation plan to them
I see,
no later than mid-March.
I see.
for them to get started.
Correct. My apologies.
Okay.
I'll walk back that,
So,
word salad. A motion to accept, the proposal, to update and, prepare our LHMP, as proposed by CVRPC.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye. Thank you. And
Thanks,
thanks, James.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, let's,
good luck with this.
feel free to, I guess, let us know, how or whether or not you'd like to, as the process kind of moves forward and in its various stages. If you want us to just kind of do a report, we can either put them as like an administrative report or, just every month or so, add you to the agenda if you want.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
We'll be having regular meetings on the proposal. We'll put together like a subcommittee essentially
Yeah.
to work on it.
And public meetings are part of the process too,
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
Yep. And obviously we'll keep you guys informed through the whole process.
Great. Thanks, James.
Thank you, James.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Gus, sorry, we picked up some other business here and, but, happy to circle back and talk town meeting stuff. If that works for you.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't know what that on my phone, so looked at it. So it looks like one of the straightforward warnings I've seen in a long time.
We tried.
We'll find out what the town has done or the one themselves after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
To say.
what are the chances?
But I guess what usually makes it easy for me is just to know who among you or among others might speak to each of the articles. And sometimes it's meant more than one. Usually, and I assume Claudia will speak to some of the issues that people will raise either in the town reports or in terms of.
Yeah.
the select board's budget.
And I'll have a short presentation about the budget like I did last time, just high level. A few notes, just so you're aware, we have a committee that vets these social service appropriations and they made recommendations that the select board adopted, but they didn't match the requests in every case, including the library. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some
Yes,
proposed amendments.
okay, and who's gonna speak for that committee? Or can we find out between now?
Do you want me to do that?
I think that'd be.
Yeah, Barbara, if you're comfortable doing that, that would be great, I think. Add some continuity.
Then there's Article 9, there's a new reserve fund, real estate acquisition fund.
Mhm.
Who wants to speak?
I'm happy to speak to that one.
That'd be Jordan.
Yep.
And then Article 12, we're proposing a change in how tax payments are recognized, property taxes. We've had issues with postmarks in the postal system. So we're proposing to no longer recognize postmarks. The payments have to arrive at the office.
And we're not
That
the
could-
only one.
that-
Barry did it. It was in the paper.
That could be a colorful conversation.
Yeah.
For clarity, that's also how voting works, it has to be by the time it can be postmarked. I got that question a few times today.
I didn't even know that.
Everything else I think is pretty familiar.
Yeah, and I assume Daphne will speak to the library.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, he's the vice president.
Okay. Just so I know, are there any big increases for the fire departments or is that pretty much in line?
They're reasonable, they're 5% range.
Okay. It is. And on the social services article, are there big changes from what people asked for?
I would say we, the Montclair Senior Activity Center went down from the original ask.
Okay.
And we accepted the Twin Valley Senior Center increase by 1,000 from previous year. And it has been some consistent increases, so we were feeling like yes this year, but we're gonna be looking carefully at it again next year.
Yeah.
A couple were, I'm trying to remember, People's Health and Wellness. And another one, Barbara might be able to correct me, had, missed the request last year, so they weren't, it'll show a blank.
Right.
And so I think it's Mosaic maybe.
Okay.
Anyways, there were two that were, you know, people are looking at the budget and comparing it from year to year, they'll see that, there was a blank, and I can explain that.
Okay.
Well, I think one of them accidentally decreased their request last year,
Oh, that was,
and then they bumped it back up to what it had been 2 years ago this year, but I don't remember who that was.
yeah, I'll have to look at my notes. I did
That
not.
was Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice. That
Yes, thank
had an
you.
error in their request last year. And another one, Barbara, that we trimmed from the request was Prevent Child Abuse Vermont.
Correct, right, which was a new one, right, Barbara?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Kara, you had mentioned the Central Vermont Economic Development,
Yeah.
which is kind of going through quite a situation, it sounds like, and maybe potentially
So
closing. But
They're not, they're, okay.
okay,
They're being supported by the state to stay in
okay,
operation.
well, that's good news.
That's from a board member.
yeah,
And the state has no interest in them not existing. I can see that.
yeah.
The state very much wants to support Central Vermont. To have that incredibly vital organization.
Yeah.
Despite their challenges.
Any feedback you want to give me at all in terms of how the meeting gets managed? Or how it's managed?
Just keep everybody from going off the rails, I guess, right? Like you usually do, Gus. I mean, that's the real benefit. I mean, I think it's hard not to go into the weeds on just, you know, how the national discourse kind of inflames any of the local issues and behaviors and that sort of thing. And we've got our own, you know, fairly acute pieces of dialogue that are unfolding right now in the community. And I've always appreciated your ability to kind of respectfully give folks the airtime, but also keep things moving along. And I hope that, you know, we can continue to do that this year. I think the last couple of town hall or town meetings have gone pretty well, actually. And there's been some decent conversations, but been able to move through them without too much offense. I hope that is the case again this year. I will find out.
Yeah, I think good chance that somebody will be upset about something and.
Yeah.
There's much to be upset about, so.
There's a lot to be upset about. But that being said, I would say that there hasn't been anything too acute, other than a handful of obvious ones, that we're anticipating.
Is somebody doing lunch this year?
Yes, Friends of Calais is doing the lunch, Barbara's organizing.
Thank you, Barbara.
And then the big question, Gus, I guess, is your very natural desire to transition out of the role.
Yeah.
and which is very understandable. But that leaves some pretty large shoes to fill, and also the awkward timing of, do we have to appoint the following year's moderator during the meeting, or?
My understanding of how we've done it in Calais is that we elect on the floor day of.
Okay,
There are towns that,
Town clerk agrees.
there are
Yeah.
towns that actually warn an article, elect the moderator for the year ensuing, meaning the following year.
Hmm.
And you have, since you haven't warned that, I think you just.
The word ensuing is in our article.
Right.
Chris and I both did homework separately, and we
Okay.
both came to the same conclusion that the person who is elected at the start of our town meeting is the person who will start the town meeting.
Until the next.
Yeah, until the
annual.
next annual.
So anyway, I've talked to various people over the years about their interest in doing it, and most people have said no. Trey Martin might be interested. And he'd certainly have the skills if he wanted to. People have suggested Barbara in the past, 2 years ago, I wasn't sure I'd be able to do it. I think it may be problematic for all your honest to that board. And the select board.
You wanna switch? We should switch.
Jeez, Barbara. The seat's hardly got warm yet.
Right.
Sure.
But anyway, anybody has ideas? I'm happy to talk to people what it takes to. I haven't seen a card for it this year. I don't know if you got one, Tegan, the League of Cities and Towns usually does a training for moderators, and I would imagine they now have lots of video material. I remember the last time I went to one, they showed a video, this was 15, 20 years ago, of a moderator just digging the hole deeper and deeper. So I certainly can tell you how not to do that. And I'd be happy to talk with anybody who wanted the job. Who's trying to get prepared.
Does it make, well, just being proactive about this I guess we have some time, but I do think we need to be proactive. So
Yeah.
that the person can really feel good about it. About
Yeah.
the possibilities, so. Yeah,
Yeah,
so if you have any other ideas, bring them forward, and we should be thinking about it a lot,
yeah.
considering it amongst.
I think between temperament and familiarity with like the
Yeah.
Roberts rules, those are two pretty large ones. Do we officially conduct the meeting by Roberts rules, or it's Roberts adjacent kind of?
What,
Can't remember the phrasing.
Bill Russell used to say, which I tried to repeat, and
Yeah.
took it from him having watched the legislature and supported him, is it's Robert's rules as interpreted by me.
Yeah.
And as you all know, the chair's rulings can be modified by a vote of the body, so that,
Sure.
Right.
but that's the, David could probably job.
Thank you, good.
You don't have to cast about in the meeting.
The training was at the end of last week. But it was an all-day training, it was only $28 and included breakfast and lunch, it was a bargain, so.
Wow.
We'll send.
We'll have to put that on the list of,
I know.
for advantages.
Perks, yeah.
Yeah, perks.
Well, are there any other questions about town meeting that we want to kind of cover? Guess this is old hat for you, so,
Yes, we'll be doing the mic running, with new 32 kids again, so
Okay.
they will, that's taken care
I do think the school vote might, that someone is gonna bring it up and want to have a conversation about that, and that will.
I could also see people saying, can we talk about what the plans are, if the vote is to close the school, what's gonna happen to the building, and that can.
Yeah, and so the intention tonight actually is to spend some time as a board working through a little bit of that dialogue and identify individuals who may have the time in the coming weeks to do some very initial information gathering about what that looks like relative to the aftermath of the vote. Or the outcome of the vote. And I think what the other item that's kind of for discussion there is, whether that scope of work would warrant setting up an ad hoc committee. So I think, relative to tonight's conversation and the next meeting, I think we should have some pretty good a pretty good sense of how we want to move through some of that decision making and planning. So my sense is that one way or the other acknowledge that the town has a plan to form a committee, and then that is going to be the space for kind of working through that dialogue more specifically. I mean, I think the goal would be to let folks kind of express the concern during the meeting, but try not to get into the specifics and hypotheticals and capturing all of that at that point in time.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. But hopefully we have more specifics about like what the group is and what the process is going to be and how to participate. How to participate in that planning process.
And we'll spend more time on it at the next select board.
At the next select board meeting.
Or not.
If warranted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. Well, thank you, Gus, as always.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for being here all year round. This very occasion.
Much appreciated. So we'll close that item for now and move on to the Friends of Calais Town Hall.
Any questions or no?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we need to do that?
Up to you. I did draft a response about the school facility. That would be one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems like points to consider.
I think my thought would possibly be to take the first and second bullet out, only because I think it's gonna be too raw. We don't know what's gonna happen yet. Yeah, let's just appoint a committee and go from there.
Okay.
Just, because we don't know.
Be wide open.
So we're contemplating a scenario where the vote is yes. And the town needs to take next steps.
Mhm.
So then we would, we wouldn't be ready to say anything substantive other than there's a lot of possibilities out there. People have a lot of ideas. We need to put a committee together.
Plus, the school district has to release it. They have to say they want to get rid of it. They could hold on to it for a year or two.
Right.
There's
They've
still questions, there's still
insinuated
unanswered questions.
that they would hang on to it for a couple of years, but if they do decide to sell it, offer it to the town, the window, I believe, is just 1 year.
Yeah.
So sort of the idea, I feel like it's worth starting that conversation regardless.
Yeah.
Cause it's gonna take more than a year to figure out a plan.
Yes.
So it might not sell. If the year passes and then it goes on the market,
Right.
I don't know if it's gonna get snatched up immediately.
Right, it's true, it can be offered more than a year, but it has at least a year.
All right. So this is an internal document just for us, right, Kari?
That's the idea.
I did have a question, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding it, as it's down on page 5. You're talking about, people might have concerns about what we've done with the highway department, the first chunk on page 5. the second bullet says, we certainly do overspend on equipment, and I was
No,
wanting to make sure that that's not what we wanted to say, right?
no, we don't.
Okay, I was like.
I don't know why.
I saw that too and I went, huh. It's true, but.
Been heavily.
Well, like, equipment is expensive,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's not, I
Alright, but we-
wouldn't say overspend. that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
right, but
it's expensive, yeah.
All right, thank you. Just
You might use the word best.
better even.
Thanks.
The other,
Thank you.
this is helpful background for thinking about the issues that might come up.
I do think the context of how the state funding distributions relative to the road budgets and road programming is going to play into that a little bit or a lot of it, depending
You're
on
thinking about the state transportation fund?
straight transportation
Fabulous.
funding and
Incredible.
What,
That point about.
the VLCTs summary?
Yeah.
yeah, that was the VLTC's summary
really
of
pushing
their
that.
like legislative stuff that Kari had copied in there, and yeah, it's significant, and I'm actually kind of surprised that it hasn't been more top of conversation relative to the school funding and school budgets
Yeah.
over the last 3 years. I mean, I remember seeing that a couple of years ago, and why that's not front and center every the school budgets have been cutting into those, and that has been leaving a lot of money off of the table. And I think it's interesting that this is all now starting to coalesce around other conversations in other communities about, declassifying roads, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we're going to have to start rolling through that conversation pretty quickly, and we're going to be talking about class 4 stuff later. But there's going to be an opportunity, I think, to drill down on that too, a little bit at town meeting. Because I think as a select board member that through this whole school conversation, that continues to be kind of an area where I would like some direction from the constituency, like how the vote turns out is going to impact how we also then need to make decisions around funding services and keeping tax rates under controls for our immediate constituency. So, and this is one of the primary line items in our
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a really interesting topic because on one hand, it's like, it feels like so foolish to leave federal money on the table. And here we are as a town, we're giving up 2 grants
Yeah,
because we don't have the match.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah. Losing a lot of leverage.
But those are the kinds of decisions we're left with at this point.
So as far as allocating who may want to speak to these various items when or if they come up at all. I think the big questions are going to be school appraisal and highway budget. If I'm just gonna, be real anecdotal about what I would anticipate questions about.
I'm happy to take the lead on both of those. Did folks see the update on the appraisal questions? Because there is news in there. Tegan called and got a positive response in terms of them being ready in April, so.
Good.
I'm actually happy to take the road stuff.
Okay.
If we want to just try to divvy it up a little bit
Yeah,
more.
that's fine.
I'm happy to speak to that. I'm comfortable operating in that kind of subject matter, less so with the tax payments and appraisals.
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody else feeling particularly? You know, capital spending to either Kari or I, or no, okay. Volunteers and committees, anybody want to make like a really strong plug on volunteers and committees?
Are you going down the list of articles or?
No, these are
Anticipated question.
anticipated questions still.
All right, what are the questions about volunteer committees?
Status of the town plan adoption.
So give that one to Jared.
Yeah.
He'll be there.
I mean, I guess maybe there might be some questions about staffing, but I don't know. I don't think so.
I think there could be questions about speed limits. That's keeps coming up. I have a number of people who nudge regularly about county road and say, when are you gonna talk about that again?
No, okay, well, fair.
About raising it or lowering it?
When I was a kid, it was 60.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. Do we have a question about that in here?
There was something on there.
There's a
about it.
general question about, you know,
Speed limit change processes.
the process we use,
Yeah.
exactly. And then there's the point of us increasing the budget for sheriff patrol and utilizing data that we have available to us. I'm trying to do that. It hasn't worked out yet, but.
So one,
Yeah, to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Kari was reviewing accounts and dollar amounts and budgeting things with me last week, and I noticed that we made a lot more this year in fines from the sheriff. So whatever they're doing seems to be working, because it was significantly more than we anticipated, or that we had gotten last year. So that was interesting.
So, and were these for exceeding the posted speed?
Most of them, yeah. It's every time we get an invoice, it says what they are, and then in the town report, there's the list of all the different things, but speeding is usually the majority of it.
I've been looking at the reports and basically you have to be over 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, or they'll give you a ticket.
Yeah, the rest are warnings, right?
Yeah.
If you got something else wrong with your car, they'll fine you too, but you know, which is quite high. I think it's 15 miles an hour before you get a ticket.
Fast, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Keegan. So that's part of the overall approach.
Yeah, and I guess I'm happy to speak to that as well. I've got plenty of line of sight on the process of going through that. There's some evolving recommendations on how to on how to set speed limits, but you know, I think we have a process. It involves doing time studies or doing traffic studies and largely also funding enforcement. And I think staying on that path and being responsive to community outreach is about as good as we can be on it.
just for my own information, the speed limit signs that we have that are solar powered, some of them are on and some aren't. Is there a method to the madness?
I think they're probably just not on because they're not getting enough charge.
Yeah, I
this
think
time of
that's
year.
true. I believe the one on West County Road is not functioning.
Correct.
That needs work. But I think the other ones work. It just doesn't matter how much solar gain they're experiencing.
Okay.
I mean, the batteries are frozen because they don't have enough solar gain too.
Man. But you're saying the one on County Road is not working, or West County?
Yeah, they need to repair it.
Okay.
Toby has contacted the vendor about that.
Okay.
Right, well, I want to be kind of mindful of time here. Can we table, any more discussion on this, move on to the next? David is here. So.
Where do you see her? Linda's here.
Yeah,
Linda's
Linda. Great.
I can sort of kick us off,
That'd be great,
if that's
Barbara.
okay.
Please.
Yeah, I want to make sure, folks know, yes, David is here, Artie and Nancy are online, as well as Linda Michelle, who's our new board member on Friends of Calais Town Hall. We're so glad to have her.
Linda.
So I've now been, acting as the select board liaison with the Friends for a few months, and, there's been a number of, meetings, and we just had the annual meeting was that last weekend? That's time more. So, and that was a great, update for the various, aspects of the work, including governance and, review of, accomplishments, and starting to talk about plans for the next year. One of the major tasks, before us was to look at the management agreement and get that signed. We have, that was in the select board's folder, so I don't know if anyone has any specific questions about that. We did focus on sort of, I wouldn't necessarily call it low hanging fruit, but some of the priority issues that the select board had identified. And left some others that are sort of a longer term discussion to work out over the coming year, but sort of committed to updating the agreement before the next round. But we would appreciate the board's consideration of those adjustments to the management agreement and getting it signed and move on from that. Just, I think everyone knows that Cliff Evans unexpectedly resigned from the board, and the chair position is currently open. Carol Beatty has also indicated her intention to resign in the next month or so. She's treasurer, and I believe Nancy has offered to take on the treasurer role, but officers will be elected at the next meeting. There is work going on, so the slate of board members has been renewed with the addition of Linda, and which is terrific, and they are continuing to recruit for additional board members. Meeting monthly again. And there also is a web site in motion that Cliff had initiated work on with assistance from the rest of the committee, the board, and we're now looking at how to streamline that so that it's both functional but also not overcomplicated, so that it's not something that too arduous to maintain. So before I don't know if there's any questions on the management agreement in particular. And if David and Artie and Nancy and Linda want to say anything else. But for the select board, do you have any concerns or questions about the management agreement as it's modified?
So the version that we have is shared through the share drive with the edits, those have been reviewed by the Friends.
Yes.
I see.
Correct.
Gotcha.
All accepted. Yeah.
Great. Go ahead.
The rates seem very low to me. $50 for a whole day just seems like a.
We definitely agree that the rates structure, actually the whole structure is quite complicated. And there's an intention to look at it and review that for this next year's agreement.
Okay.
So, but your feedback is that it's
I mean,
too low.
you couldn't even get somebody to clean it for 3 times that. I mean. It's, you know. Yeah,
That's the first I've heard that it's too loud.
okay. Mm.
Well, there's
What are you
hourly,
looking at?
There's a lot of complexity to
there's
it.
hourly, and then there's,
Downstairs common area rental, Calais residents, $50 per day.
yeah, and then there's hourly, and then there's,
That's what confuses me. There's an hourly and then there's a per day
and then
amount
there's
as
the
well.
downstairs daily.
My understanding is that's an add-on. If you're renting upstairs for
If you're looking at
$40 an hour for
9, yeah.
4 hours, and you want to also use the kitchen, it's a $50 add-on.
You might want to clarify
It
that.
doesn't say that, so
Yeah, let's clarify the rate.
So.
that's cheap living.
Get
I read it for a
feedback on
month.
the rate structure. We probably will be investigating this in the, in the coming months and bring it back to the select board to communicate what the proposal is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my,
I believe you're correct, Artie.
Yeah,
You're a little more familiar, yeah.
we're gonna probably totally revamp those. A lot of those rates were designed or were thought about, created before we had the quality of the equipment that we have in there. Those rates go back quite a ways. I think the intention is to, from the ground up, redo all of those, keeping them affordable but also realistic. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of, those. Yeah, they're going to get reworked.
Okay.
Okay.
Pending.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I brought up is that, just one day at the Old West Church is 600 for, is for outside, for an outside of Calais resident, but, there's a lot of variables in here, so, and as you know, there's some events that go on for a 2-week period, so there has to be some way of looking at this where there's, one-off and longer term and all of those things. So there's a reason it's complex. But there's gonna be an effort among us to try to figure out how to make it less complex.
Is there a rental agreement already set up between the Friends and a potential renter? What they can do and what they can't do?
There is a rental agreement, yes, a
Okay.
separate rental agreement.
Could we see that too?
Sure,
All right.
I'm happy to bring it back to you, but that's
Okay.
another item on the list.
Okay.
Because Bill, it has that rate structure in it, right?
Mhm.
So it needs work. But I think what's exciting is that the Friends have really done some great projects already this year, or in the fall and through the fall. And I think some really sincere enthusiasm about taking the organization forward. Especially with a new member.
Yeah.
And hopefully some additional folks coming.
And Bill, if you look on the town website under town hall, there's rental information.
Okay.
And I think, one of the points that, I see Barbara's got her hand up, so, just one point here is that, one of the main issues, or one of the concerns was that the select board had was access, making sure that the public had access and that Calais residents, understand they have access. And I think that's shared by the board members, that everyone wants to make sure folks understand that and that it's available and, ready for use. So I think that the spirit of the agreement is very positive and very, I think we needed to do some catching up among all of ourselves of where we were and how did we get here, and I think it's been very positive. Barbara?
Yeah, and just a reminder, in addition to the rental agreement, there's also a usage policy, which was developed under the previous select board. So this select board might want to take a look at that again and refamiliarize yourself with it.
Right. Yes, and the three things don't necessarily align, so that needs work. Anything y'all want to add at all? David or Nancy?
No, I think the rental agreement is the big one, like the rates and trying to simplify the rate structure. That's a big one. The other one is getting the website where we want it. Cliff was the lead on that. So we're catching up on what the website's going to look like and what it's going to do. And I think maybe simplifying that as well, to have a calendar that people can see and make requests for the space through the website.
Right.
Well, thank you, everybody, for the work on this. I mean, I think just getting reestablishing lines of communication. The board has been going through transition. There's obviously been a lot of projects upstairs and trying to kind of proof out how do these things all finally come to kind of fruition. So that's all really encouraging. I think having an updated agreement that all parties seem to agree on is great, and there's a plan for revisiting either the appendi or supplemental policies to make sure that there's continuity there. So I really don't see any problem with personally with approving this contract and get it in or agreement and getting it into place and activated and kind of staying the course on this line of kind of collaboration and where we run into hiccups or revisiting certain issues, we'll put it on the calendar. Probably too early to say that there's like any particular timeline on revisiting those policies. That
Well, I think we're meeting on the 17th, and that will give us a better sense of the timing, because there's a number of demands, and fewer board members.
Yeah. Well, so in our like reports area of our agendas, we generally have just kind of like standing check-ins with various entities. Would it make sense to just have like a alternating like monthly or every 2 meetings, just have an update from
I think whatever
friends?
whatever folks want is totally, I think people are open to that. No problem at all.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
I think
We're in a rebuilding mode,
Yeah.
obviously. The volunteer thing is what we're grappling with.
Yeah, the understaffed and
Right.
underfunded.
You've gotta rebuild.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to set anybody to a fixed schedule. I mean, I want the
Yeah.
frequency to make as much sense
No,
as your ability to process through the scope of work. So
it makes sense
Yeah.
to keep checking in.
Keep talking,
Yeah, totally.
sure. All right, that sounds great.
So yeah, thanks for what you've accomplished thus far. Do you want a motion?
Yeah, so I think with that, we can entertain a motion to adopt and sign the area agreement. That's it. Has area always been in there?
Should we take out area? Where does it say that?
It's right in the header. Agreement regarding the management services for the Calais Town Hall.
That's funny.
Yeah, well, one of those things.
Gremlins.
Okay. Anybody want to make that?
I move that the select board approve and sign the agreement regarding management services for the Calais Town Hall. As amended is in front of us.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And none opposed. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Artie.
I'll bring a clean copy till the next one. I'll sign it.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you very much. Tax sales.
All right, I guess Sandra's here. Got a couple different topics, actions asking you to take up. But as far as background goes, Sandra's been our delinquent tax collector for quite a while, I believe. And but it's been a couple years since we've done a sale, and there's new legislation in place. And at the same time, the attorney that we've used for many years, Gloria Rice, left that part of her practice. She's not doing tax sales anymore. So we needed someone new we reached out to SPNF, which is our town firm, and David Ruff is the attorney we spoke with. He's done quite a few sales, including under the new law. So the first topic is just following through on the last sale in 2024. Very small parcel sold to the one bidder that showed up at the sale. They paid exactly the back taxes. And we just need to follow through and create the tax collector deed and finalize that purchase. It was purchased by the abutting landowner, so it was very clean.
So by we, you mean we have to get a lawyer to do this?
Yes, and Dave will do it for between $210 and $420. He thought it'd be closer to the $200. But we need approval to follow through on that.
And the town pays him to do that after, well, I guess we receive the funds.
Sandra, do you want to speak to that? I've never been through the deed part. You're on mute, Sandra.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Gloria Rice was the attorney doing the town's tax sales for years. Once the legislation changed, she resigned from that particular part of her practice, as Kari said. And that took place right after the tax sale that we're speaking about.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to finalize that tax sale, the 1-year redemption period had to pass.
Okay.
And it has. And in the meantime, we have not had any other tax sales and have not did not have an attorney to finish off that particular sale with a deed from the town via the delinquent tax collector to the successful bidder, the adjacent landowner. So that is a legal document that needs to be prepared by a lawyer. And as Kari said, Ruff will do it and complete that sale.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, that seems pretty straightforward.
It needs to happen.
Yeah.
Seems a reasonable price.
Yeah.
For legal services, yeah.
And they certainly for legal services, and it also seems like kind of extenuating circumstances. I assume, if we contract Ruff for the rest of these, they'll kind of trigger the follow-up automatically, once the 1-year seizing period goes by. Or is that a process that we should be tracking internally somehow?
No, he'll track that if he handles the sale.
Yeah.
That 1-year redemption was something I didn't understand until just now, so that's helpful.
You got that, okay,
Right.
yeah.
So yes, we don't have to vote on that, do we?
Go ahead, okay, great. So the second issue is initiating the process. It's a familiar process, but somewhat updated because of the new legislation. We have 3 properties that are eligible for tax sale at this point. Our goal is to not sell them, to have the residents come current with their taxes.
And I appreciated your saying.
But as time passes, that becomes more difficult. So the sooner we can get their attention, so to speak, and have them respond and engage with us, including starting a payment plan with Sandra, the better. So we're in agreement that we should really start this now, because it takes 4 to 5 months if we see the process through. I don't know if you read the memo. He estimates about 10% of these go to actual sale.
Yeah.
And 60 to 70% respond to the first letter that they get from attorneys. For some reason, that carries more weight.
Okay. Oh, the attorneys instead of the delinquent tax collector.
Yes.
So Sandra, I'm assuming you've tried to reach these people and tried to reach out and do a payment plan, and are they not responding at all, or what's?
They are not
What's
they are not responding at all. So I send out bills every month. I offer a payment plan with the initial bill that comes after the tax effort is closed, and that is in December. And thereafter, every month, they receive a bill and they are invited to make a payment plan. So these folks have been delinquent for more than a year, which is what the statute calls for. The month before the 1 year trigger passed, I sent them there were 5. I sent them a letter. One responded and cleared up the 2024 taxes, but the other 4 did not respond at all. So I have no communication from the parcels, the 3 parcels actually that are eligible for tax sale. And I must say, you know, they have been on my list before. So since I did not get any response from my letter, I really do think that it is worth the town's time and money. It's not terribly expensive to get a letter out to them from the attorney. That really seems to work. When Gloria took over from the delinquent tax collector, she was able to get their attention, not all of them, but a good portion of them. And David feels that he has a great deal of success with his first step letter. So, we don't want to take sell their parcels. We just need them to engage with the community and get themselves straightened out and move forward. So sometimes this is what it takes.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah, and Sandra, I'd like to thank you. I mean, I think you do a remarkable job, I think, being very consistent about this and making sure that everything is documented well and well organized. I think from my perspective, at least, that I think it's important to kind of treat these both, with a focus toward the community, but also with some equity, so that we're compassionate, but also consistent and how we kind of move through this process. And I think we're at a spot now where it makes sense to take the next step. And
Well, can I say that we did make a point to Attorney Bruff that these parcels are all owner occupied. We are not looking at a landlord situation, which evidently he is very familiar with. And so these really are our community folks. And as Kari said, the numbers here, once they get beyond a certain point, there's almost no hope for a person to dig out of a tax sale should there be a successful bidder. It's just going to be too much money. And as much as I hate to scare them and turn this over to an attorney, I think the numbers as they are, this is the tipping point. They do have a potential to get themselves straightened away. And we want to work with that. And Kari made that very clear with Attorney Ruff that is the goal here. Not, we're not dealing with landlords who are just simply not paying their taxes. These are our community members.
The other thing that was encouraging was that the attorney is able to keep the expense to the town down. But heavy use of paralegals, and then there's up to 15% of the proceeds can be used to offset expenses, so. We were concerned about that, but
You said limit the town's expenses to 100 to 200 per sale.
yeah.
Yeah. So we have a couple of actions to consider. The first one being the approval of SB&F to complete the presently outstanding 2024 tax sale documentation.
I think we just agreed that we didn't need a motion.
Oh, we didn't need a motion on that? Okay.
I think that's okay.
You want to do it just in case?
Yeah, I think that.
All right, I
Makes
move
sense to do so.
to approve SPNF attorneys to complete the 2024 tax collector's deed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And none opposed. And the next one would be the approval to hire SPNF to
They gave us language for this one. It's at the bottom.
oh, I missed that.
I'll do it.
Yeah, please.
I move to approve SPNF attorneys PC to conduct the town's tax sale process and commence in 2026.
Does anybody want to second that?
Second.
Second, sorry.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It was so much surprise.
Yeah.
Silence.
Corey, can I just ask a question? Corey, I don't recall if if Attorney Ruff needed the parcels that we're going to turn over to him, specifically noted in that motion. I do not recall.
No, he gave us the specific language. It's in the 16-point document, so I think we're
Okay.
good.
All right.
He does want to see it in the minutes, so tomorrow I will email him and copy you in, letting him know we've got the approval, and then he'll get the minutes as soon as they're prepared.
Shayna, you got that motion language in your minutes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Shanna. Very good. Anything else, Sandra, that we can help with?
Nope, this was great.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a nice night, everyone.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.
All right, so moving on with the agenda. So we have a public period of comment for anything that is not presently on the agenda. It's like there are few members of the community on Zoom and Nick, but no, okay. Not seeing any hands raised for public comment on Zoom. So with that, I think I'd like to kind of keep rolling. It's okay. And back on track. Nice. Class 4 road maintenance. So this is kind of a continuation of a conversation that started a couple of weeks ago with the consideration of the sanding on Apple Hill, which was I think a good community dialogue and certainly informative for the select board, and identified an opportunity to maybe do a little better job keeping track of what we say we're going to do and why we're going to do it, and documenting policies that may need some touching up. Anyway, so with that, there was some homework to kind of get a little more context around what our class 4 practices are and what our regular maintenance requests are. And so Kari had put a lot of that context that was gathered in the share folder. So with that, I think turn over to Kari to kind of dive.
Yeah, hopefully this is along the lines of what you were looking for, but just to zoom out and get some a little broader context for class 4. So 11.5 miles officially of class 4 roads. And approximately 41 homes on those 11.5 miles. And you can see it's not evenly distributed, right? There's some concentrations, including Apple Hill Road and Daly Road. And then I picked the road crew's brain of what requests have we gotten in the past few years. And so there's some notes in there about that. It struck me that Apple Hill is the one that we get the most regular requests, but there are some others. Hayden Road, it struck me as one that they said they've gotten more requests recently. I guess there was an Airbnb opened on Hayden Road recently in the past couple of years. So, but otherwise it seems like it's been more sporadic requests and not just winter maintenance, but gravel during mud season, that sort of thing.
Can you explain the no gravel in mud season delivered didn't spread? What's that?
Yeah, they just dropped.
So the residents spread it? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
So that's all seasonal too, right? Then nobody lives in there full time, correct?
On Daly.
Yeah.
I believe so. No,
At the very front, at the road, at the front road,
Yeah.
the very first house.
Daily?
Okay.
Why does it say 12,000?
So they're
Got it. But the road has never been maintained during the winter.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, just to remind you, the policy says that the winter maintenance, specifically sanding and tree removal, can be, sporadically as resources allow at the road commissioner's discretion. And there's a lot of language in there about upgrading
Mhm.
the roads, so that being at the expense of the owners. It's an interesting policy to review. Good to be familiar with.
Because going to a class 3 doesn't represent a lot of the class 3s we have here now.
Yeah.
That's a lot more to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say just having this discussion with the road crew, it raises concerns. It raises, the one concern I would say that I was a little bit surprised by was just exceptions seem to cause stress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's class 4.
Special treatment.
Yeah, just things like there's not expected.
Yeah.
I think from John's point of view, class 4 is, that's beyond his purview.
Right.
So
And that was the Apple Hill issue.
yeah, that's why, I think we were caught off guard. I was caught off guard when we started thought we had an understanding and that's just not how he's been viewing it. But that it applies to mowing too. We talked about that, these exceptions on mowing. Which doesn't strike me as a big deal, but it actually causes some.
It does.
Yeah, you can speak to it. Right?
It does. Yeah.
I'm not seeing Elmsley.
I'm just class 3.
Remember we talked about that night. It's like, why is Elmsley 3? And I actually.
All right, I'm misremembering. Okay.
It's Apple Hill that's class 4 from Elmsley up.
Correct, yeah.
And then class 3 for a portion of it on the other side from Duger Brook.
Right. It's just that the thing, it's like the practice versus when I first moved here, I didn't, Elmsley was not plowed.
Right.
And so I actually have never, I still don't drive on it in the winter because I just assume it's not plowed.
Yeah.
And apparently it is.
Yeah,
It is.
that change, I don't remember when that changed. I noticed it a couple of years ago.
It's been about 5 years at least.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I don't know why it was done.
Well, so after the Apple Hill discussion, I talked about, well, what about Elmsley becoming class 4? Would that help? And the response was, well, there's nowhere to turn around. They actually use Elmsley as a sort of escape route off of the maintained part of Apple Hill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It gives them a way back too, a faster way back sometimes too. Yeah.
And then there were a few on here that I was surprised to see are class 4 roads that I thought were
Yeah,
ancient roads or trails. That,
yeah, I think that, we're kind of going off what the state designates.
okay,
Yeah, I agree.
But maybe,
Cause-
no, I mean, you're trying to make this almost like a sort of a database of this.
Yeah.
It might be helpful to
Note that.
know which ones are actually actively used or,
Okay,
based on your, and I don't mean to step on your question,
Right.
Jamie, but.
And some of these class 4s we plow in the winter. So it's like, we don't plow them, we don't plow others.
Right.
which ones?
We plow some of these? Or Piper's Ride?
We plow Piper's Ride, we also
One
plow
side
them
of it.
going up from Duber Brook Road.
No, actually, Pfeiffer's Ride is class 4 beyond the Passages.
Okay.
Again, that's like an ancient road.
So some of
That's
these.
not an actual
a
passable
portion of
zone.
the road.
It goes over to Jack Hill.
That was thrown up, it doesn't go all the way through.
Yes, Bob.
That was thrown up.
There.
No, actually it was thrown up, is my understanding, it does not go all the way through, maybe. I don't know.
Well, so for me, the definitive is the state highway map.
Okay, if they show it, good,
Yeah, they do.
all right.
I should include that.
It is
I'll share that link with you. I refer to that often.
Okay, it is mucky in there.
Well, I think the question is whether you need any further collaboration with us about the road crews. Just, I mean, you're a road commissioner, so you can decide.
Yeah.
But do you need consultation from us on this? And I think the evenness is what we're trying to get to. It's like, is this fair?
Yeah,
And is there also a mechanism for continuity
yeah,
from, like, if we all are not here anymore at some point, we won't be in these chairs, so that sort of passing of the.
I don't know what the answer is. I mean, Apple Hill is an exception to what we.
It seems, yeah.
And it's a long-standing exception, and the folks are organized and care about it and made their case effectively. So where does that leave us? I think the status quo, I suppose.
Well, they do have more houses on that road than any of the others listed.
And there's a higher density of houses on that road than many of our class 3 roads.
right.
Which they mentioned.
And
Well, and I think that there's a couple of roads in there that raise kind of an interesting question about, you've got Chapin Road, which goes down to a town forest. And kind of begs a question, and there's also, a decent amount of houses on that road, even though it's not, it terminates in a cluster of houses. What's the obligation to
So this is,
make it accessible?
this is not all of J portion from, what is it?
the class 3 down to Pekin Brook.
Peak,
Yeah,
I think maybe
right.
that.
gotcha.
Where's that development that there's something ridge, Blueberry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
that's just,
from there
that's
to
private, yeah, gotcha, yep, Blackberry Ridge.
Blackberry.
I mean, I think that there's, from my perspective at least, I think that there's probably room for some dedicated conversation around the kind of status of some of these roads, and looking at some of the class 3 roads that only serve a couple of houses, class 4 roads that serve a number of houses, not necessarily that they'd be upgraded, but I think whether there's some reciprocity, or not reciprocity, but some kind of equity in like what those classifications are, and being clear about what happens after a class 4 designation, the terminology. And I know that in this community is that we use the term ancient roads, but I don't know that that's represented anywhere from like a statutory perspective. There's trails, and then there are unmaintained roads. And, I think that there's room for us to define some of these terms, and then on a somewhat more regular basis, defining what those road segments are and revisiting whether or not they, what their statuses are, I didn't, to, I guess, cherry pick one in particular, I think Daly Road being listed as a class 4 road that is largely a right of way through a bunch of camps, like, could that just be downgraded to a private road? And not
People who.
there's already, I know that there are people who already think it's private. And I guess
The select board meeting.
I'd like to say that I have some influence over the interpretation of that.
I think I hear what that.
But I think that it'd be worth revisiting some of those classifications on some of these roads and starting to create a little bit more equity in like what their current designations are. And I think we're going to need to have some feedback, I think, frankly, with from Toby about I think the economics of designation between class 4 and class or a trail or unmaintained road or a private road end up kind of becoming a moot point. But like if we're talking about declassifying something from a 3 to a 4, that is going to start changing our mileage counts for compensated mileage revenue from the state. Which
But
kind of
also
has like this weird.
something, like, there's something to be said for if there's a portion of a road that is class 3 and there's a middle section that's class 4, like. And we're trying to reduce the burden on the road crew.
Yeah.
Is part of the goal here.
Yeah.
It's one of the aspects of this.
Could be.
So, there's something in there where like simplifying seems.
Well, and I wonder, like with Apple Hill, I guess to that point, like if it almost seems like if we revisit our class 4 road policy and where we have something like an Apple Hill, where we, if we're going to more regularly participate in the occasional sanding or plowing support, or we have a segment of it that's not insignificant that is class 3, do we say that we're going to adopt a particular maintenance practice for that road that makes it more efficient and addresses road crew concerns for providing some of that support, but doesn't fully upgrade it to a class 3 road? That seems like a reasonable question to ask. That kind of honors the intents of the interests of the residents on that road.
Sorry. Well, I'm just reading our current policy, which is to discourage the reclassification.
Right.
Or upgrading.
That was sort of a funny thing to have in a policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's up to the select board to decide.
Right.
How to.
That was one select board telling a future select board.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing I think it's worth mentioning, and I think it came up before, but that we may be statewide beginning a trend of turning up roads, right?
Yeah.
And there's a CAX article today
Yeah.
about Morristown. Did folks see that?
I just read that one.
There's a proposal to turn up 20 miles of roads in Morristown
Yeah.
for budget reasons.
Turn up meaning bring them from 4 to 3.
They were
From
gonna
3 to 4.
from 3 to 4, or for some of them, they were just saying
Or-
we're just calling them private.
Or
like,
private,
just giving them entirely calling them private.
But giving up maintenance of them
Yeah.
and any revenue they get from the state.
There was something in Burlington about that too recently.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
the Old
the-
North End, there was
Oh,
some
yeah, I remember
like
that.
complication on.
Yeah, the
What
town
road-
announced it wasn't gonna do the maintenance
Yeah.
they've been doing on these private stretches.
Yeah.
People didn't realize we're private.
Right.
I mean, it seems like if we get for one, we kind of open up the class 4 policy because it seems like there are some things in there that maybe we just want to enhance some language, but like, if we have a list of roads that we acknowledge have a certain maintenance practice because of the number of houses on them, or, you know, agreements that have been made with residents, like, we can revisit that on a regular basis, but like, let's put a stake in the ground and say that we've had this conversation, and even though they are class fours and we have other class fours, that we acknowledge that these roads are going to have a certain degree of consideration for regular maintenance, consistent maintenance practices, and then defining what that is. Seems like something we could maybe punt down to the ordinance advisory committee and thank you.
More roads.
More road stuff.
Just to remind you that there's also the winter operations maintenance plan or operation plan. And that touches on some of this, right? Or could.
Good to talk with the road crew some more. I'm sure you have about all this anyway, but you know, yeah.
It's just a consistency thing for me that
Right.
I'm having trouble with, because I just feel like if people on another class 4 road knew that they could call the town office or call, you know, and say, hey, we need some sand. And I don't think Apple Hill's being egregious about it.
Right.
Like, they're saying like, it was the day we had a quarter inch thick of ice,
A few
you know.
times a winter, yeah.
But anyway, just feel like there's an equity thing here.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the road commissioner, the way this is written, it's the road commissioner's
That discretion.
discretion. So I just want to be supportive of our
Appreciate
said road
that.
commissioner.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
That's all true.
I want to recognize that I don't think that the requests are egregious, but also we haven't had requests made. So I feel like if we identify if we identify the other road segments that would potentially want to see a equitable level of service and pose that questions to those specific residents, like, this is what we're considering. Do you want to be identified as one of the roads that gets a particular maintenance?
Right.
I mean, and then it's just a matter of budget, right? So, and then working with the road crew to make sure that their ability to perform the work in a way that they feel is
safe
yeah. and efficient. I think that starts to check a lot of those boxes. And then, you know, if there are class 4 road designations where they're not really serving any houses or seasonal houses, and, you know, the residents are not requesting that, then they stay off of the list. They don't have this particular call out for extra services. I'm getting into verbal diarrhea kind of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, my concern is just adding to the burden. If this results in more work for them, more even brain space to be devoted to it, then it's a concern.
Well, yeah, do we need to have a focused conversation about whether Apple Hill, if they're gonna get winter sanding, need to be at class 3?
I think the status quo is workable.
Alright. And the road crew thinks so too.
Yes.
Right, and I feel like, you know, the question keeps coming up, the equity question of, well, what if we're suddenly bombarded with all these other roads?
If that
happens, we can figure it out then.
Yeah.
Right, like.
Right now, it is what it is. I mean, this is
I
the
just,
extent of it.
I would just.
I don't disagree with.
I understand. I would say you've done the work so far.
Yeah.
Here, I would just kind of provide a little more detail so that if you are asked to look this up again, it's
Right.
here for you to refer to.
Yeah.
And
It's a
or
good resource.
all right, and I think having this kind of reviewed under the context of the other road stuff that the ordinance and policy kind of committee have been chipping away at wouldn't hurt, just for continuity's sake. Specific output for now. Craig, you had mentioned that you were looking for some specific feedback on. Is that relative to the road maintenance? Oh, no, that was the truck. Never mind. We'll save that for the report. So moving on to administrative items, we have the approval of the Jan 12 and Jan 26 select board meeting minutes. We postponed the January 12th so that Shannon would have the opportunity to make some verbiage adjustments. Did everybody have a chance to review those? Look like they.
Yep, looks good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And was everybody able to review the January 26 minutes?
Yeah, I just had one question on that one. Under the select board attendees, you listed, Shayna, the in-person ones. Can you add me to the select board attendees? So it's not confusing and just, you can put.
Okay. Sorry
like,
about that.
Parentheses Zoom or something, whatever you want. Thank you.
Is everybody comfortable with making a joint motion to accept the January 12th and 26th meeting minutes?
That's just amended.
As just amended.
Yeah.
Reviewed and amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thanks, Dana.
Great. Board orders were posted to the shared drive as well. Everyone's had the opportunity to review those. Are there any questions or dialogue on the board orders?
No.
All right. I get a motion to approve and sign the board orders as posted to the shared drive and prepared by Kari.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Oh, the vacation leave, yeah. So we have a consideration to approve the exception of vacation leave accrual.
So the way I read the minutes from April 24th and our personnel policies. Barbara's vacation leave, we ran into reaching the maximum accrual. That wasn't clear to her. I wasn't clear that she was approaching that maximum. It's a total of what, 51.75 hours. I would suggest that you make an exception and allow her to exceed the maximum that's in the minutes of that personnel policy.
I'd say relative to Barbara's service to the community and in this role, that seems like a pretty reasonable exception to make.
Yeah. Agreed.
Are there any objections? Anybody wants to go on the record? No? That's what I thought. Can I entertain a motion to approve that exception and authorize Kari to, I guess that would be to pay them out according to their accrual?
To do the full accrual now, and then when Barbara retires, she would take any unused portion payment.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Great job. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks so much, everyone. And of course, thank you so much, Barbara. Reports. Tegan. Big day tomorrow.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So the town report went to the printer last week for final printing, so that should be coming down quick in the mail anytime now. We got the ballots for the Washington Central and the local and the Career Center election, which I love having 4 ballots for 2 different elections going through my office right now and making sure nothing gets mixed up. It's great. And voting has been brisk. We've had, I think I've received about 250 votes so far for tomorrow's election in early voting. And I've already received some voting ballots for town meeting elections, so people are hot to exercise their democratic, rights these days. And then Kari and I have been working on the hiring process for the new assistant clerk select board administrator, which we'll talk more about, but that has been a really positive process. And tomorrow we will be voting in here, so I might invite some of you to stay for a few minutes afterward and help me move things around if I couldn't set up here today.
What time are you opening up tomorrow?
We will be open 7 to 7,
Oof.
and the town hall or the town office will be closed, so we will not be doing business.
Thanks.
Great.
Thank you, Tina.
Lots of plates.
Spinning. Lots of plates spinning.
Larry?
So, the 2014 Western Star dump truck, that was part of the financing plan for the new truck. And, last we spoke, Charlie Boyce had changed their offer from a $50,000 trade-in value to $20,000. And you said that's not good enough, and I had a couple conversations with the owner. They actually towed it, they saw our point of view that, it was indicated as a trade-in, and there was this over 2-year waiting period while we're waiting for the truck, and we're still waiting for the body. And they towed it to their shop, did a full evaluation. It's got a number of issues, there's no question about that. And they upped their offer to 35,000. So it's 15,000 less than we had planned. But after, talking it over with John and Tyler and Toby, I think that's about as good as we can expect to make on auction. Probably better, frankly, given the number of issues it has and its age.
We've been using the truck in 2 years or 2.5 years.
Yeah, well, it's our spare.
Yeah.
We actually would have used it in the past couple of weeks. Well, maybe, but we're down the truck currently. Anyway, we something needs to happen, and I think this is probably the best we can do, and it will mean drawing 15,000 from the highway capital fund to complete the financing of the new truck.
Thank you for improving the situation.
So that seems okay. Proceed.
It does.
Okay.
To me.
John bit my ear the other day a little bit about some of the truck stuff, and what are we gonna do in the future? I mean, we do wanna change who we get trucks from in the future because of this.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to me like it's only going one way here.
Absolutely. The next truck that we have lined up, because there's a new truck in the budget, right? That we're gonna avoid Western Star altogether, go with a Mack is the preferred, so different dealer. And they've also, identified a different service provider for Western Stars. It's based in Lebanon, it's called ATG. And that was based on research they did with other road crews who've been having issues, of course, with Charlie Boys. I think one of the issues with Charlie Boys is they're large, they have a lot of large accounts, and we're small fry. I think that's part of it. That was the other thing I just wanted to update you. We've had truck issues this past month, and John's truck, which is the newest truck in our fleet, the 23 Western Star, has a warranty issue, and we're hoping to get it back by Wednesday. But no, they were out Saturday morning with two dump trucks and the S600.
Yeah.
So it's just not enough to do 80 miles of road. And
We just need.
Did a good job.
yeah.
It's a
They've
long day, though.
been doing well. So anyway, that's the brief update.
Do you need any specific direction or approval from us one way or the other to on what to do about the Western Star? Or
I can proceed if it's just, if we've got consensus. You'll have to make a motion to draw from the Highway Capital Equipment Fund eventually, but we're not there yet.
okay,
We're still waiting on the body.
Any update there?
That was 4 to 6 months from when we approved it in December, so hopefully by this summer we'll have it.
That'll be
We
good.
won't have it for this plow season.
I just wanted to note that I've gotten some feedback from some residents on Lightning Ridge about just kind of like the development of icy ruts.
Oh, yeah.
And was just curious. I noticed that county had seen, or like the north end of county had seen some grading not too long ago to knock down some of those ruts. I assume they use a grader because I could see the like rake marks. But is there a plan to kind of work through? I think we have some snow coming, like in a couple of days, but
Tomorrow night. They were using the grader as a makeshift plow, you know,
Yeah.
and then winging the banks, but I'll ask. I didn't.
Okay.
I wasn't aware of that.
John,
Those
did what?
roads are sort of everywhere.
They are. I'm, with the limited sanding allocations
Yeah.
that we have, and if we don't have the trucks to make the regular passes with the plows, those as we get in between more significant snow events, those ruts can kind of get pretty dicey and kind of flinging vehicles around.
Right. We may be going into like a thaw freeze.
I was gonna say that it's gonna warm a little bit, and that'll make it a little different.
But I'll certainly talk with them about it.
Yeah.
What can be done.
The small bridge on Max Gray Road, I saw John down there, those ruts were 5 inches deep.
Yeah.
And he went down there with the grader and he was able to get the grader on the bridge. I don't know how he did that. And was able to pull those ruts out, but it took him a little while to do it.
Yeah. I think it doesn't look like, even with the little bit of warming that we're gonna have, it doesn't look like we're gonna be warming substantially anytime soon.
Yeah,
So,
considering we're talking about inches of ice.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to pass along that kind of concern.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So the remaining agenda item is the consideration of hiring for the assistant town clerk and select board administrator role. That sounds right to everyone. So I guess managing expectations. We can have some initial discussion about that if anybody feels that it would be appropriate or necessary to go into executive session. That would certainly be appropriate. And we'd likely want to invite in Kari and Tegan, who were involved in the interviewing process, to kind of work through any of that dialogue. So in the event we go into executive section, there's not going to be any business afterwards. So members of the public and recording specialists, I guess if we go in at that point, we'll wrap up the minutes. Keep everyone apprised of what the decisions are as a result of that. Anyway, so for some initial discussion, Kari and Tegan, you want to just kind of give a 30,000-foot view of the process and kind of where we're at?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to do it, Tegan?
We put out word on all our usual channels, and then we were fortunate that VLCT selected us as they've been doing a program where they're putting out one I think of the things put up on their job posting site up on 7 days, just to try and get a little more traction and to get people, both to get other people to come to their website and look at the rest of their postings, but also to give towns like us a boost because it's not cheap to get on 7 days. So we had 9 applicants. We had a 10th, but it seemed a little dicey, and I emailed them and they never emailed back, and they were in Massachusetts, so I'm assuming that's not. But all the rest of the 9 were local. Most of them were in Calais, and so we did Zoom interviews. We did 20-minute Zoom interviews with 3 of them. And then after we completed those interviews, we called back 3 of them for a second in-person interview at the town office. And that one lasted about 40 minutes. And we had Christy with us there as well. for that part of the process. And then we put our heads together and came up with a candidate we were in favor of, and then we called their references, and got nothing but positive responses from the references, nothing out of ordinary. It was all very enthusiastic. The other thing I just want to say is all 9 candidates were hireable. We had such a great pool of applicants. They ranged in age from 20s to people wanting retirement jobs, people who've been here a while, people who haven't been here a while. It was just such an interesting cross-section of people to get to talk to. And I think I speak for Kari and myself both. We really enjoyed just getting to chat with these people. So I also, in this process, I learned that Hardwick is hiring a full-time assistant clerk. Marshfield's still looking for an assistant clerk. Some other places were. So I felt comfortable sending them that information so that they could hopefully find a spot, because they all seem like people who would be assets for towns.
I also want to acknowledge and thank Christy for participating in that as well. As a representative of the select board. Thank you.
I enjoyed the process, and I agree. All 3 of the folks I met in person were outstanding.
Nice to hear.
Yeah, it's super nice to hear. And yeah, I think encouraging that people are, motivated to find work within our community. That's really cool. At a minimum, and very selfishly, hopefully we kept track of some of the other ones in case we want to fill some volunteer positions. Great. Do fellow select board members have questions about the recommendation? People feeling like it'd be appropriate to go into executive session before making a decision? Just to have some dialogue around that? Yeah, I think that would be great.
That makes sense.
For the one Vermont Statute 1, Section 313A3. Why am I struggling over this so much? The words are right in front of me.
It says state instead of statute.
Yeah, it does. Relative to the appointment of an employee in the evaluation of a potential hire, I would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session, inviting in Kari and Tegan to speak to their recommendation.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. And Shayna, you're welcome to be dismissed, I guess, from your relieved of your duties from here out. We'll keep notes about coming out and any actions taken after executive session.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Toodles.
Juice.
Yes.
I could be abrupt about it.